So, Natalie, I'm really happy to begin this interview with you. I first met you when Catalina was doing her foray in London, and I really liked your presence, and I really felt very welcomed by you and very respected by you. I was a kind of young facilitator at the time, just accompanying Catalina. But and I always wonder when when I meet people in the breath, and I always think, what happened what happened to make you be there?
Mm,
What was the initiating
mm,
circumstances, and how did it happen?
mm. Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you for including me in this project. And thank you also for your kind words about the presence. I'm humbled. My journey with the breath started, don't tell anyone, but quite a few years ago now, in 1998. At the time, I was living and working in Geneva. I was doing something completely different. I was an international civil servant. I was working for the International Labour Office, part of the UN system. And at the time, if somebody had said to me one day, you will be called senior trainer and you will be training people in transformational breath, I would have thought, maybe you knocked your head somewhere. But just to say, this journey in itself is quite a miracle. That here I am today, back in the UK, and teaching transformational breath, passionate about sharing this work. I mean, it's not that I came back to the UK for this. It all, as now I know, at the time I didn't know that. Um, Life, let's call it life, conspires to get you where you need to be, you know. And at the time, I was just invited to an evening presentation of transformational breath. And hey, my husband at the time and myself, we just went, not even thinking about it, just because we like to, like I say, hang out with like-minded people. I had started waking up to what I like to call other dimensions of life. And yes, somebody was talking about the breath, but it all went here in a way, because we all breathe, what's with the breath? And he explained, demonstrated, did a breath analysis. Even that was, yeah, until I breathed, because he did get us to breathe. And wow, that's when the wow factor came in. Because 10, 15 minutes into that breath, even less, I felt this huge fear coming up. I recognized it. My hands were going into tetany. It felt like my lower jaw was going on a trip of its own. And my thinking mind was going, come on now. You're an intelligent woman. At least I believed that at the time. Your husband there, a whole room full of people. What is there to fear? Blah, blah, blah. And I could not stop the tetany. And the guy said, okay, bring your awareness back to the room. And having learned that you can open your eyes in the warmth, putting your hands on your eyes, try doing that when you're like this. And I went like this on my eyes, and I just burst into tears. Not tears, sobs. And for a long time before that, I had said to myself, you are so shallow. You know how we beat up, on ourselves. You don't feel anything very deeply except rage, of course. That's easy. I couldn't feel. And there I was sobbing. And like I share with people, I say sobbing with gusto. It felt so good to be sobbing. And that was it. I was hooked. I wanted to know everything that I could find out about transformational breath. And of course, at the time, I believe Judith had not even written her book. And there was no literature I could take home to read, because that's me. Everything has come, this awakening through the power of the written word. But there was nothing I could take home and read. And guess what? There was no Google at the time. There was no, let's go on the internet and Google this, and there was none of that. So it took 3 years after that for me to come back to transformational breath. By then I had, because a lot of things, maybe I won't go into the whole story, I was awakening to a lot of things, and I felt I had to leave that system, the United Nations system. Came back to the UK, and by then I had also come across the journey of Brandon Bayes, fell in love deeply with the journey, became a journey practitioner. And I think it must have been in 2000, somewhere like that. And I thought, okay, now's the time to find out more about transformational breath, which I did. By then there was a book, read it in 3 days, couldn't put it down, had to find the next workshop. And your English, so you'll understand when I say that I went from North Hertfordshire down to Southwest England for a one-day workshop, because there wasn't a lot around at the moment, at the time. And that was it. The rest is history.
Well, I mean, you say the rest is history, but there's a lot of people that get interested by transformational breath. A lot of people do a weekend workshop, a lot of people do a seminar, but they don't necessarily go on to become a senior trainer.
No, that is true.
There's something about that journey, and I know a little bit about it, having done it myself, that is quite particular, and I think very demanding. So it's something that I'm very aware of when I go and talk to fellow senior trainers, and I look them in the eyes and I say, I know a little bit about what you've been through, because it's not an easy journey. It's a very rewarding one. It's a very exciting one to a certain extent in certain parts of it, but it's certainly not easy. So just to give a feeling of that, what would you say about that? Because you talked about the journey as a process and but what about the journey of transformational breath to senior trainer?
Maybe I have to start with the fact that I recognize now, looking back on my life, that there was always a quest. Even when I was a teenager, I was born a Catholic, then around the age of 17, got baptized in Seventh-day Adventist Church. So, and then, got out of that. But there was always a quest for something that was not apparent at the time. And I think this is what really guided the whole journey, the whole process. And what I loved about transformational breath is that it is something that truly, truly bypasses the thinking mind. I am a bit of a mind type, and that's why, probably I love the reading and all of that. And no matter what I think, no matter what I believe, or that was not a good session, or it does not matter. So that for me is very important in itself. And of course, having done the journey, which is also a beautiful method, very elegant way of opening us into this that we are, into the essence of who we are. But we do that through going down layers of emotions. Emotions are a gateway to the soul. Excuse me. And because when I started, I realized that I was so anesthetized which is why I had not been able to access my emotions, had not been able to feel them, cry, for example, before. When I came across transformational breath, so that had made the journey a little challenging for me when I started. So when I came across transformational breath, 10 minutes of breathing and I'm sobbing. So that was extraordinary for me. It bypassed my thinking mind, got me straight into the emotions, straight into the subconscious mind. And like you say, no, it hasn't been um, an easy journey to become a senior trainer, because you have an internship at every level, which is proper. You know, you need, when you realize the power of this tool, what it is capable of achieving, yes, you need a serious training. And that's another thing that I appreciate with transformational breath. It is a serious training. It is a long internship. And it's very fitting. And so that part of it, for me, was long because I never intended, Paul, to become a senior trainer. Had not even intended to be a facilitator. Everything that I have ever done to start with, be it the breath, be it the journey, has been for me. Only for me, you know, because of this quest I have mentioned, because I could feel there the potential of it to open me into what I was seeking, into this essence. So this together was with the journey was just amazing. And I wanted to deepen in both, which I did, and found myself qualifying in both methods. All for me. And it took a while for me to start working with other people. Yes, of course I wanted to share it. It's like when you, I don't know, you find a good recipe and you want to share it with your friends. In the same way, I wanted, first of all, you know, the first people were my family, my children, my husband, you know, sit down, let me, or lie down, let me breathe you. And, but that started taking me indeed deeper and deeper within myself. And that is not a journey for the faint-hearted. Indeed. It takes a lot of awareness, a lot of humility, a lot of willingness to go there. Because what we find is not always pretty. But at the same time, we understand that facing what is inside and clearing what is inside spells true liberation, true freedom.
When I first started, I very similar to you. I didn't feel at all that I wanted to become a facilitator, and it was strictly for me that I continued the path. But I'm just kind of intrigued, and this is something that I've felt myself, is that you get to a state where it seems to be that in order to help me, I have to help other people. There's a kind of a mirror effect that seems to work, whereby it becomes more efficient, even if it's just about you, just about learning about you, that you switch your attention to other people.
Yes, yes, I agree. And it takes a certain awareness of that happening, you know, to become aware that I see myself in my clients and I teach best what I most need to learn. So as I teach, I am learning only always, always. And and I've come to realize that every person I encounter, be it a client or not, every situation, every event, if I am aware and willing, becomes, for me, what I like to call wood for the fire of my liberation. But it takes a lot of awareness and a lot of willingness for that. But you are absolutely right. By working with other people, we are setting ourselves free. I mean, it cannot be otherwise, can it? Because you know, I know it's cliche to say we are all one, but now cutting edge science is saying we are all one. So if I am working with you, inevitably I am setting myself free at the same time. It's fascinating.
It is, and it's for me, it's always surprising to a certain extent that here I am working on somebody, but really I'm working on myself. Here I am
Yes,
talking about somebody else's intention, but really this is my intention.
yes,
Here I
yes,
am echoing somebody or giving words to somebody, but really I'm talking to myself. And it's such a difficult thing to express to other people. I've tried it sometimes in a group format, and people have kind of looked around and said, well, what's going on? You know, if
yeah.
he's here for him, then how come? How come we're paying him, first of all? And how come, you know, we've come to learn from
And
him?
he's
So
working on himself.
yes, that's right. He says, I'm just here for me, you know. But it was quite surprising the other evening also with Michael Brown talking about that, that it's almost as if, you know, his words, which were a bit extreme, was that we're doing nothing. We're not doing anything. We're just being there.
Yeah.
And you know, I just wanted to hear you say a few words about that, about the posture or the positioning of a facilitator or of a senior trainer. I mean, obviously there is responsibility. Obviously, you've got to organize things. You've got to keep your eye on the prize, as it were. But you know, how would you situate your level of involvement and a level of doing?
Mm. That's what a beautiful question. We are going deeper into this now, um, because this is what I know for myself, and this is what I like to share with whoever wants to hear. You know, amongst the facilitators I come across, because we talk a lot about miracle consciousness in transformational breath, and to come to realize that the miracle part is me. So, yes, there is responsibility. Yes, there is knowledge. Yes, I have to acquire my skills. I have to learn my body map. I have to, you know, do the groundwork. But what works in this modality is our presence more than anything else. And I've just done a CPD on you know, going a little deeper in miracle consciousness some time ago. It is what we call miracle consciousness, in fact, is this awareness of this consciousness, punto, awareness of who I am, and the fact that awareness of the fact that when I connect, when I am open in this essence, and even scientifically speaking, I open a space, I create a void, and all my client has to do is fall into that, so to speak. So this is where I am meeting my client in that space. And I realize that this client is just me without having to think about it, turn it on, push a button. There's no button we can push. We are told, hold the client in miracle consciousness. How? There's no point on the body map. But it's the understanding that I have to open in that miracle consciousness. I have to be aware of that consciousness. And when I am aware of that and I open in that, miracles indeed can happen. All I need to do is be present with this person, and the rest becomes playing, with that Play-Doh of reality, what we call reality. But it's holding, it's having that, bringing that presence. And indeed, in that, there is nothing to do. Everything else, every action in that becomes, how shall I put this, becomes an extension of this space rather than a doing that comes from my knowledge. Oh, I need to push on that point, press that point, do this, do that. It becomes organic. So it links us to our intuition. Our intuition is just that connection with our higher being.
You mentioned earlier that there's no button to press, but somewhere along the line, I'd like to know, how you go about preparing yourself for a course. Are there any specific things that you do, or are there any specific things that you set yourself up for to begin with?
At this stage, there is I know it sounds bad to say a taking for granted, because I am connected. I am guided. This is my life. I realized, I was reading that this morning again, that our soul is guiding more and more, coming on board, because there is more allowing in us for that to happen, is guiding our life, so is guiding everything. So we can give up the struggle. It's just the holding of that intention. I am going to run a seminar. It's just holding the intention that it is for the highest good of all. And getting there, knowing that everything is on point. Whether I have 5 participants or 10 or 15 participants, doesn't matter. That's just the way it's meant to be in that moment. And just trusting.
Yeah, it's such an important thing, I think, for anybody who runs courses. I mean, I was, very much with the mentality of the bigger the better, and we were, and we've had several moments where we've been on a upward curve, as it were. Before COVID, we were very much on an upward curve, and then bang, COVID came, and it felt like we were starting at ground zero again.
Yeah.
And then building up and building up. And then very recently, for the last 4A we had 6 participants. And it was kind of like a bit of a drop for us. And actually, it was really amazing. It was a really beautiful 4A. I mean, again, we talked about it being for us. For me, it was a great 4A. I felt much lighter. I felt much more playful. I felt more free, because I didn't feel that, I felt that it was a co-creation, and it was just as much their responsibility as it was mine. And I'll do my job, but they've got to do theirs. And if they do, then it'll be fine. And there's enough unseen help around us for
Absolutely.
for the thing to happen. And all I have to do is go to sleep reasonably early at night and get up at the right time in the morning and have breakfast, and that's about it. I don't have to worry about anything. It's already part and parcel of what's already been prepared, as it were.
Yeah. And what a beautiful way, bringing this to the entirety of our life. What a beautiful way to live, to just allow. This is what we're meant to be doing, just allowing. Like I said, doesn't mean I sit in front of the television, which I do not have, and twiddle my thumbs. Doesn't mean that, but it's letting go of expectations. My expectations, other people's expectations, and just knowing that, hey, it's all perfect. And I am taken care of. We are taken care of. Everything is on point. Everything is in divine order. It's, as I say that to you, I feel it in my body right now.
I can see it in you. Yeah.
You know, there's that softening and giving up the struggle and knowing that, you know, the perfect people will come to us according to their needs and ours, of course, but according to their needs. And if we get out of the way, our soul will take us where we need to be and make the rest none of our business. Hmm.
Yeah, I think for me anyway, it's giving up on the struggle because I'm so addicted to struggle that it's very difficult for me to give up on that,
Mm.
you know,
Yeah, and that's,
fighting.
you know, I, every group I meet or even individual clients, I share what I've come to call my golden little question. How does that make me feel? That's the real question. Because when I ask that, it brings me back to me. If I'm struggling, if I were to not struggle, how would that make me feel? What would I have to face? Okay, here I go. I'm sorry. I'm doing, doing that thing now. But that is a
No, I
real,
love that. Yeah.
that is a real question. How
Yeah,
does that make me
totally.
feel? Yeah.
Of course, with the proviso that I like a lot from Michael Brown is not to go then to all the stories. How does it make
Yes.
me feel? You know, oh wow, it makes me feel this, and it makes me feel
Yes.
that, and that reminds me of so and so and so and so, and then we're off in storyland, as it were. You know,
Yeah,
so that
absolutely. That's why when I share this question, I always say the next thing is, where do I feel this in my body?
mm,
Where am I? So, what does it make me, you know, what's the emotion that's coming up, and where do I feel that in my body? And then, you know, using whatever method I am using, I can use my breath, or I can just sit and open into that emotion and let it expand, let it devour me, and realize, whoa, on the other side of that, there's the potential of me opening into my soul. Mm. So when we realize that, then that little question becomes very powerful.
totally,
Mm.
totally.
Mm.
In one of the senior trainer meetings that we had, I was delighted and intrigued by a comment that you made about that for you seemed self-evident, but for me made me think a bit, although it resonated a lot with me at the time. You said something like, and I'm probably paraphrasing wrongly here, but you said something like, but aren't we just teaching love? Isn't that really what it's all about?
Mm.
As if breath was a kind of excuse to talk about something else. And I often feel that in what we're doing is that we're using breath as a kind of a metaphor or a physical reality that indicates or that signposts something else. And this is true of a lot of mystical schools, by the way, who are breath schools or spiritual schools, breath and spirit being equivalences, whereby the breath was equated with something more mysterious and something more intangible.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. For me, transformational breath is a powerful tool. And it is a tool. It is not an end in itself. Yes, I teach transformational breath. I teach the content, but the content can never be disconnected, disassociated with this, for lack of a word, this that we are bathing in at the moment, this reality, and where we are bound for, where we're bound. And it is a tool, it is a powerful tool that has the potential to open us to higher states of consciousness. And then what do I do with that? What does that mean, higher states of consciousness? So I need awareness of that. The breath by itself, of course, can take me there. But if I don't have an awareness of the possibility of that, an awareness of the fact that, for me, it is a fact, that I am not just this body. There is something intangible, not in me, but that I am a part of. My body is in my soul, rather than the other way around. So when I already have an awareness of this, and I open through using my breath, open in that place, wow, I don't have to be scared, because it can, well, not, some people can be a little concerned when they open in that place, because what is that? What do I do with that? How do I live my life after that, with that? So it takes awareness. And this is what we're about, uncovering whom we are. Who are we beyond this body? And this is here for us more and more. We say the veil is lifting. We have all those cliches. Say, where is the veil lifting? What does that mean? What is all this about? What's happening around us at the moment? How can our breath help us? Yes, I totally agree with you that this is a powerful tool, and it also takes a little more awareness of this, that, let's say, the full potential of it.
Just talking about what's happening in the world at the moment, and the good and the bad of it, because I think there is good and there is bad. But for a lot of people, they're going through some of the toughest times of their lives at the moment. I mean, what seems to be, from my perspective and from what I can see on the ground, as it were, here in France, is that there seems to be, on the one hand, I would say, a bigger dynamic and a bigger need for finding solutions and finding things that maybe are outside the box, or need a certain amount of reframing of what we need to do now, type thing. And I've seen this even in companies, which they're being quite adventurous now in looking for new solutions and new ways of doing things. And I think a lot of progress is going to come from companies being adventurous. But that's another conversation. But yes, what I'm trying to get at is the idea that on the one hand, there's more need. On the one hand, there's a increase in, let's say, potential demand or potential interest in, and on the other, there's a lot of dispersion, a lot of confusion, and a lot of cancellations, and a lot of we do this, we're attracted by this, but then we can't seem to go all the way through with it. So, and we're certainly living this dynamic in France. We've had some, we've just done level 5. Your daughter came to level 5, and so we were very pleased to meet her. She's marvelous. She's incredible.
She was happy to be there. She wanted so much to be there.
Yeah, well, it was an amazing event. I mean, there was like 36 new people going to be, training across France and other countries. There were a handful of hardline English people there as well, so that was great. But my point being is that there's 36 people that are going to go out into the world, and they're going to be running small groups and then sooner or later running weekends and maybe sooner or later with some of them becoming senior trainers. So huge potential for expansion. And what I noticed, was just the level of people in that group, the awareness, the understanding, the commitment there was like, what's happening? So, but on the other hand, we just did as I said before, a 4A, there's 6 people. So there's kind of like there seems to me that sometimes, or maybe it's about us. I don't know. I mean, I don't know, but it's to do with that. It seems to me. I mean, that's the other impression I wanted to share with you is for that level 5. It seems to me the bar has gone up. It seems to me that if we need to continue this work, then we have to know that the bar has gone up.
Yes.
And that means that we're going to be attracting people of a higher caliber because the bar is higher up. But it also means for us, it does mean there's a step up in terms of commitment, in terms of level of presence, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that, just wanted to get your opinion on that.
I mean, absolutely. The bar, like you say, has gone up because people are waking up. People are waking up, and we are invited to also step up in how we show up, energetically how we show up. Yes, I know we are taught how to, yes, we talk about the consciousness of the facilitator and all of that. There are quite a few prescriptions, but you cannot have prescriptions. People have to be guided, led to go within, to understand that at another level. Because it cannot be, do this, do that, and you are going to wake up. It's just not true. We see this around us. So yes, in that sense, we have to step up in us becoming aware of what is this all about. Sometimes I want to ask people, why are you doing this? Why are you a breath worker? Because we also learn that everything is perfect. We don't need to change anything. Our client is perfect. So why do I want to change your breath? Why do I want you to work on your breath? So maybe we need to become aware that what this is about, at least for me, I can only talk about me, is that we are helping other souls awaken to who they are. And for doing that, we are wielding a powerful tool. When we hold that awareness, I mean, all power is there for this to happen. That's where we become that miracle. Because if you are perfect as you are, there's nothing to change. Why do I want you to come to a seminar? Why do I want you to come and work with me so you can change your breath if there's nothing that needs to change? So it's not about that. It's not about, yes, of course, changing your breath is going to facilitate a lot of things. But it's about me holding the awareness that this tool that I am wielding has the potential to help you awaken to who you are. And when we understand that, our job then truly becomes sacred. Because I am witnessing the awakening of the divine to the divine. I think it is Plato who said, definitely misquoting, that we are here as midwives, to be midwives to each other's soul. How beautiful is that? And this is the potential of this work. That's the real work here. Well, work, so to speak.
There's another quote that I came across the other day from Meister Eckhart that talked
Mm.
about God needs to be born,
Yes,
and he needs to
yes,
be born at every moment, and we are the midwives.
yes, absolutely. And in our work, what a privilege. It's sacredness, being able to witness that, to play a tiny part of facilitating that. But then we have to be aware of that. We have to be prepared for that. And to come back to what you were saying earlier about people not showing up, I think there's a fear because at some level, people feel that this is what's on offer. This is what's available in this work. And there is a fear. Is that the fear of that unknown, the fear of going there? Who am I going to be? Of course, it's not a conscious thing, asking conscious questions about it. But there's a part of us that gets it. My life will very likely not be the same again. And people run. There's a fear also of, the financial aspect. Not that we need to change anything, I don't believe that. But people are scared of investing in themselves, to make that happen. It's just fear. It's a lot of fear out there. That's why I say to people when they end up, they show up in a group, or I say, well done, congratulate yourself. Because people get lost on the way. Just a little anecdote. A long time ago, I was living in Hitchin in Hertfordshire, and there was this woman who had made an appointment. She was coming from London to Hertfordshire for a session. And 15 minutes in, she hadn't shown up. So I called her. She got very angry with me. Why didn't you call me before? And I said, what do you mean? She had set up from London without my address, without my telephone number. She ended up in Hitchin, and she had a good idea of going around, ringing people's doorbell and saying, do you know Nathalie Montille?
Really successful strategy, apparently. Yeah.
And then, of course, she headed back to London. So by the time I called her, 15 minutes after her due appointment time, she was well on her way back to London. That's how powerful this can be, this self-sabotage. So there's a bit of that going on as well in the world. And who knows, maybe we need to look at self-sabotage in ourselves as well. I don't know, because we are one. Mm.
Well, certainly in terms of, I think what I'm achieving at the moment or what we're achieving at the moment and whether it really aligns with what I want, what we want. And I suppose that's where you can say maybe there's some self-sabotage going on because you're
Mm.
not there yet. And how come you're not there? There must be something that's getting in the way,
Yeah, yeah.
something.
Oh, there could be a nudge from spirit, asking you to be aware of other things. I don't know.
Hmm.
Maybe could there be a slightly different direction or something else you need to do? Um, who knows? Because you're right, before COVID, I was running events with 16, 17 people. At the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, wow, several big groups of people. And then, of course, there was
Bang.
COVID. And I think this has happened for a lot of people. And of course, we have to say there are a lot of breath schools that have shot up everywhere and, calling different people according to their different needs. And this is, like we've been, discussing, this is a serious school of breath where it asks you to be more involved with yourself, with your journey. And like we've been saying, it's not for the faint-hearted. And also people want quick fixes.
Mm. Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
that's one of the things that one of the discussion points is, oh, transformational breath is too difficult, it's too hard, it costs too much money. And I'm actually really pleased that it's hard and it costs a lot of money because I think
Yes.
that kind of it pushes people to decide if you want this, then you're going to have to really invest seriously in
Yes,
yourself at all
absolutely.
levels because it's just not going to happen otherwise. And
Yes.
I from what I can see from the level of commitment that we're getting from people nowadays, it's totally necessary. It's totally necessary because
Absolutely.
it's just too difficult if you're not fully equipped, if you're not fully engaged in it, if you're
Yes.
not fully committed, because there's so many things that can get in the way that if you're not on the ball, then it's going to be tough. It's going to be very tough.
Yes. Absolutely. And as teachers, as trainers, we need to be aware of that. And yes, it is a journey of love. At least when we're teaching, like I say to people, I'm definitely not a saint in life. But when I am in that consciousness, in that energy, yes, it is love. There is an embracing of anybody, everybody, anything. In all my years, you can imagine, in all my years doing this kind of work, be it with the breath or with the journey, I have seen quite a few things. And no, there is no judgment. We are all in this together. So every judgment is a lie. So there is an opening and embracing truly from the level of the heart. And people feel that because this is what makes them feel safe enough to open and allow the healing. Boy, have we seen a few things.
Ouais. Euh, et juste pour avoir quelques mots en français, Nathalie, parce que
Oui, certainement. Je ferai
ouais,
de mon mieux.
oui, bon, non, mais c'est aussi parce que cette vidéo s'adresse également aux facilitateurs, facilitatrices en France et parce que moi j'avais envie de leur ouvrir la porte vers d'autres possibilités et d'autres personnes en train de faire un transformational breath dans le monde et comme tu n'es pas loin, en Angleterre, euh, et ta fille était avec nous il y a peu. Donc l'idée, ma question, c'est qu'est-ce que tu dirais aux personnes récemment qualifiées ou aux des personnes récemment engagées sur le chemin d'être certifiées? Qu'est-ce que tu dirais comme mot de bienvenue, peut-être?
Waouh. Alors là, maintenant, pour moi, c'est une question de trouver les mots en français pour décrire ce que j'ai l'habitude d'expliquer en anglais, n'est-ce pas, avoir le vocabulaire nécessaire. Je dirais, n'abandonnez pas. En fait, ne vous abandonnez pas.
Hmm.
Parce que c'est ça le truc. Ne pas s'abandonner soi-même et à continuer ce voyage à l'intérieur. parce que c'est ce dont il s'agit. C'est un voyage à l'intérieur de nous. Et en entreprenant ce voyage à l'intérieur de nous, on se rend compte que l'extérieur change. Donc, comme je dis, oui, on peut prendre l'extérieur, prendre notre environnement à bras le corps et essayer de le changer afin que nous, on se sente mieux. Mais ce n'est pas tellement facile. Alors qu'en allant à l'intérieur de moi, en cultivant ce jardin intérieur, cela se reflètera dans ce jardin extérieur, qui est ma vie de tous les jours. Et oui, c'est sûr, on a envie de partager ça avec ceux qui nous entourent. Laissez-vous guider par votre cœur. Le cœur, on dit bien le cœur a ses raisons que la raison ne connaît pas.
Mm.
Et cela devient de plus en plus vrai de nos jours. Et en allant vers ce, on ne peut même pas parler d'avenir, de futur, c'est là, c'est le présent, afin de pouvoir subsister dans cet environnement, il nous faudra absolument prendre place dans notre cœur, prendre place dans son cœur, voir à travers le cœur, penser à travers le cœur. C'est ce qui nous attend dans cet avenir proche,
Mm.
pour notre survie. Parce qu'il s'agit de ça de plus en plus. C'est une question de survie dans ce monde qui change à une vitesse extraordinaire, où nous nous sentons perdus, ça nous fait peur, l'avenir nous fait peur. Et dans tout ça, notre encre sera et notre respiration.
Mm.
Hmm.
Thank you so much,
You're
Nathalie.
so welcome.
It's been a great pleasure to be with you this afternoon.
For me too, Paul. It's been a long time since we
Yeah,
connected, so it's a pleasure reconnecting. Yeah. And hey, anytime you want to come to the UK, come and join a seminar I'm running, or feel free, let me know and just come and breathe.
thank you. Thank you so
Mm,
much, Nathalie.
welcome. Mm.
Thank you. So I'm going to switch off the